Hey YouTube, it's Caleb again, back with another deck profile. This time for a deck I played at my premiere event today. I went 3-1, got 4th place, and it is a pure Mitsurugi variant. I was still missing some cards, and I didn't know what to play today, so I kind of threw this list together kind of last minute last night. Kind of just hoping for the best until I get all the stuff I get in the mail and open all the packs and that kind of stuff. And it actually turned out to be really fun and honestly pretty good. A lot better than what I thought it was going to be in terms of the consistency and just power. Like, I was kind of worried about how I was going to win games and just, if I was going to brick all the time or whatnot. I really didn't have any problems. It was pretty easy. And the deck did great. So, again, I'm still missing some cards, so some ratios are going to be off. I'll go through and explain those throughout the video. And at the end, I'll explain some things that I would change. That kind of stuff. So, all right, let's get into it. So, we will start with your normal summons. We have 3 of the new guy, Aramasa. Pretty much, this is the new level 4. This guy lets you search for a Mitsurugi monster when he is normal, special, or attributed. And then we have 2 Saji. This is the older one. Lets you search for the spells of the traps when he's attributed or summoned. And then we have Kusanagi that lets you add a Mitsurugi card back from your graveyard or banishment back to your hand. I think these ratios are correct. You always want 3 of this guy. He's pretty much like your 1-card starter. And then you can arguably run just 1 Saji. I think in Pure you should run 2, just for more names in the deck. And then 1 Kusanagi is just fine because it's kind of a brick. So pretty good. And then for the ritual monsters, I ran 2 of the new ritual monster, Habakiri. You should absolutely run 3. This card is so good in the deck. It is, again, one of your 1-card starters. I didn't have a 3rd one at the time. I didn't have a 3rd one. After the event was done, someone gave me one. So I ran 2. You still have plenty of ways to get to this card, so it's just fine only running 2, but you definitely want 3. I want to see this card as much as possible. What this card does, while it's on the field, your opponent's monsters lose 800 attack, so it makes it really hard for, obviously, your opponents to beat over your monsters. Like, no one's beating over the old ritual monster with that has 3200 attack when they're losing 800 attack. Or it's even kind of hard to beat over this guy. Like, Dead Angel can't do it anymore, Mouse monsters can't do it. And then, of course, when it's attributed, it can search and bring your guy back. But the main effect, why it's so good, you can reveal this card while it's in your hand, and you can special summon a Mitsurugi monster and then tribute a monster. It can be any monster. So you kind of go based on what you have in your hand. Activate this, and either you're going to special out Saji or Arasama, and then tribute them, and add whatever piece you need to be able to combo off. Right. And then we have 2 Murakamo. You can arguably just run 1, but I think in Pure you should run 2, just in case your first one gets like Bisieled. And some of my combos I ended with 1 on the field and 1 in my hand, just for follow up for the next turn. Or you do have one of the new cards that lets you ritual summon a monster from your hand. So it's pretty good. Just have 1 in your hand just for next turn, or even on your opponent's turn. And it's 1 Futsu. When people are cutting this card, I think it's really good, especially in Pure. I'll run in every list I have for Mitsurugi. And it's good just to end with this card in the field. And you can even have these guys in your graveyard and then just special them back with Futsu as your opponents are playing. So they kind of forget that they're there and you just bring them back. That's all I had for those. Yeah, and then the spells, we have, of course, 3 prayers. This card is just incredible. And then we have 3 of the old ritual spells. And 1 mirror. This is the new ritual spell. Lets you ritual summon a monster from your hand or your graveyard by sending materials from your hand or the field. And then also has another effect where, as long as you have a Mitsurugi ritual monster in your graveyard, you can activate this and shuffle it back in your deck. So this is really good, like chain block when you act like tribute your guys off. Go like chain 1 Futsu to add, and then chain 2 mirror to shuffle back, so you're chain blocking, so they can't like ghost bell you and that kind of stuff. And then one purification. This is your grounding negate. In this version, it's very important to note the second effect of purification as well. When you tribute, you can tribute banish this card and tribute a level 5 or higher monster, and switch summon a reptile from your graveyard. So that's really good. Don't forget about that part. Ideally, in your combo, you're going to want to search for this, so it's good to follow up on your next turn just to, obviously get a guy out. And then I ran one Tempest. This card's awful. I wouldn't recommend playing it. I wanted just to give it a shot, just because in this deck I do usually end on having all 3 rituals out. So if I was able to, play this and make them banish in their hand or extra deck, I thought it was pretty good, but this card's awful against Malice because they're just going to banish the stuff they have in their hand and just special them back out. So I would not recommend it. For those that don't know what this card does, when you have a ritual spell in your graveyard, you can activate this and you attribute all 3 of the ritual monsters, and it makes your opponent banish 8 cards from their field, graveyard, hand, or extra deck. And that's their choice. So I mean, it's a good win more card, but Malice is the best deck in the format, and they're not going to care. They're just going to banish their stuff. Obviously, they can't bring back their extra deck monsters, but it's still pretty awkward when they have their White Rabbit or their Dormouse in their hand, and they just banish them and bring them back, and it's well, that feels awful. And then 3 pre-prep. This card lets you add a ritual spell, and then you can also add a monster that's listed in that ritual spell. So for instance, Mirror obviously is a ritual spell, and it lists all 3 of these by specifically in the card name, so you can add either any of these also when you use pre-prep. So if you're going to run Mirror, you should run pre-prep because that card's just made for it. If you don't run Mirror, don't run pre-prep. Pretty easy. Pretty self-explanatory. Alright, that's all for those. I did run the Nadir package in this deck. This deck doesn't really care too much about the extra deck, so the Nadir package is perfect for that. I have plenty of targets in the extra deck. Usually, pretty much extra deck wants to be full of stuff for this and Ultimate Slayer. So yeah, this package is really good in this deck. Okay, and then just some non-engine cards. Of course, we have 3 Thrust. This card's really important in this deck since this variant is pretty much just full of primarily breakers, and you can also use the search for your purification, that kind of stuff, or of the 1 talents you also run. Good to search for. Yeah, it's a very good card. Not too crazy. And of course the 1 talents, that's all we can run now. I did run one of the new Gordian Slicer. What this card does, first off, the effect or the activation, neither can be negated. And you can target cards on the field, and for every card you target, you can either banish a card from your hand face down or 6 cards from your extra deck face down. So say you target 3 cards, you can banish 1 from your hand, and then it's 12 from your extra deck. And that's really good when this deck, I don't care about my extra deck. So that makes it pretty good board breaker. I only had 1 copy, so I only ran the 1. But every time I saw it, I mean, it was pretty cracked, honestly. I'm considering running more if I get my hands on more, obviously, but it does kind of suck having to banish so many, but if you don't need extra deck, who cares? Right. And then just the 2 Ultimate Slayers. I did run a few hand traps in this deck. Again, since I don't care about my extra too much, what a perfect time to use the Ghost Reapers. Pretty much this card lets you discard a card, or you discard this, and you can reveal a monster from your extra deck, and then you can look at your opponent's extra deck, and if they have any of the same card, you can banish all the copies they have of it. So like if you're playing against Ryzel, you reveal this. If you show like you have a detonator or whatever in your extra deck, they have to then banish all copies of their detonator. Or like if you're playing as Blue Eyes, you like Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon, you have to banish all their Spirit Dragons. So it's a pretty good card if you don't, you have plenty of space in your extra deck. Then of course the 3 Fuas. If you have them, you gotta play them. And then 3 Imperms, 3 Impulses. The Impulses kind of conflict with your deck. They conflict with the Maximus and the Deer stuff, which I guess you can still use in the Deer Servant to send a card, but obviously you can't send all your cards in at that point because most of them are lights, so they'll be able to activate. So you have to be careful when you use this card. If your opening hand has Impulse and a Deer Servant in it, you might not want to use this. You might just want to set it at the end of your next turn. But if you're playing against a deck and Impulse will like absolutely 100% stop them, it might be worth using. So just use this at your own discretion. Obviously, if the Deer Servant's your only way to play, don't use this card. But Impulse is still like one of the best cards I think right now. It is one of the only hand traps, I think actually the only one I can think of off the top of my head, that will stop Mitsurugi Ritual summon from the hand. So pretty solid. That's all for the main deck. It is 45 cards. We'll just go ahead and do the extra deck next. The extra deck is kind of like it can easily be refined. A lot of cards I didn't have. There are some other Nadir or Slayer targets I didn't have, so take as you will. We'll start with the actual playable cards. 1 King of the Frail Imps. I think I'm gonna cut this card because I don't see how I would ever have 2 level 4s out and need to search for a monster, or like I'd want this guy. I can't think of a scenario when I would need it, so maybe I'm just crazy, but I don't know why I would need this card at this point, but who knows. And then I have 1 Hope Harbinger. This card, when your opponent activates a spell card, you can negate the activation and slurp it up. And then once per turn, when your opponent declares an attack, you can redirect the attack to this guy. So pretty good rank 8, especially against those like super heavy like spell decks like Azamina, Blue Eyes, that kind of stuff. I played 1 Sky Prison. This card is interesting to say the least. What it does is once per turn, or not once per turn, when you activate this card, detach 1, and this card cannot be destroyed by card effects. And also neither player can special summon from the graveyard. So it's obviously really good against a lot of the popular decks right now, like Memento, Blue Eyes, Fiendsmith. It's also good against your deck, so kind of be careful with that. And this variant, this card's not really that good because you're very reliant on constantly bringing your stuff back from the graveyard on your opponent's turn. So I wouldn't recommend running this in this variant, but like other variants like Ryzeal or like Fiendsmith, Mitsurugi, where you have more ways to win than just Mitsurugi cards, this card's pretty good. Then we have Typhon, IP, SP, and just Cowboy. Which Cowboys, Mitsurugi is kind of a hard deck to win in time with because you're doing damage yourself with like prayers and that kind of stuff. But it's a good way to just cheat and win. You never know. Never know. All right, and then for the Ghost Reaper targets, Whitebinder, Spirit Dragon, and Detonator. I think these 2 are correct for those 2 decks, obviously, because they have only 1 copy of Detonator now. And if you get rid of their 1 copy of Detonator, like they just kind of can't win. So that's really good. Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. Most of those decks they run like 2 or 3 copies of this, and they usually they'll end on 1 or 2 copies in their end board. So if you get rid of this, it's really awkward for them to like what they want to end on. And then Malice is just so weird. Like Whitebinder's one of the better cards, so I figured this would be a really good target for it. But they kind of just like comp with her and don't care. Like yeah, it sucks. Like it's annoying for them, but they don't care. They just keep going. So I don't know what Whitebinder's still a really good target. I don't know what I would do after like for a different one, but I'll probably just keep this for now. Still a really good target. And for the Slayer / Endear Servant targets, I have one Malong, which lets you target a card and shuffle back. Intis, which lets you destroy a card when it's sent to the graveyard. Aggregator lets you negate a card. Herald lets you add a ritual, monster, or spell card from deck to your hand. And then Garua lets you draw a card. Now, if I had it, I would run like the Tri-Brigade, one of the Tri-Brigade cards. One of them lets you send like when sent to the graveyard, lets you send a Winged Beast to the graveyard from your extra deck, or from your extra deck to the graveyard. So you can just send Garua, get a free card, get a free draw, or the other one where it's like draw a card, discard a card. Either one of those would be good too. I just don't have any copies, but I would definitely have one of those in instead of like Cowboy or Sky Prison, Frail Imps. You know, you get the gist. Alright, last thing is the side deck. One of the new spell trap, the Magatama. This card will be in the main from now on instead of like Tempest or something else. What this card does, tribute a reptile monster, you can either destroy a card or you can ritual summon a monster from your hand. So again, earlier I mentioned like sometimes I'd end with Murakamo on the field and in one in my hand. Sometimes it's really useful to just ritual summon him on your opponent's turn. They won't expect it because this is obviously a new card, and some people aren't running this card. I think it's bad, but a quick play ritual summon on my opponent's turn, like this card's just really really good. And you get like 3 or 4 searches on your turn because you ritual summon like minimum 3 times in your combo. So still pretty good. It'll be in my main deck for sure. And then of course the Charmies. You have 3 Meows, 3 Perulia. I'm debating on maining Meows, just again for the Mouse hate. It's also pretty good against, like again, Fiendsmith, Blue Eyes, all the popular decks right now. Even like Live Twin Fiendsmith, new deck coming up. It's got support. They'll get like 2 or 3 draws minimum against that. Obviously Mouse, they could almost just deck you out. Pretty much they summon from their banishment and stuff. But even Perulia is pretty good against Mouse now too. So with the new like Adagnister cards, they're constantly summoning from their hand too. So honestly, all these are pretty good. But Mouse could arguably just be main from now on. Alright, and then we have, of course, 3 Lancia. You gotta have this card at this point. Anything up against Malice. And then just some going first cards. 3 Solemn Strikes, Debarrier, and Called By. So that is it. And again, changes I make. Definitely 3 Habakiri. Now that I have a 3rd copy, will be in there. Take Tempest out. And that's pretty much it, honestly. The deck, besides that, felt really good. Maybe like take out the slicer and add something else. But yeah, other than that, this deck felt really, really good. And obviously, refine the extra deck. That's the biggest part. But leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. Again, this is just a concept. My only loss today was to full power Malice, and I went to game 3, almost went to time. I kind of lost myself the game, unfortunately. So the deck is definitely has a ton of potential. Obviously, people are gonna play this deck with like Raziel and Fiendsmith. So let me know if you guys want to see like combos or like test hands or anything like that. Yeah, leave a comment. Let me know. Thanks.